Hi there. Welcome to the Financial Advantage. We are powered by the Wells Funding Group. I'm Dennis Wells. Super excited to have Jocelyn Deal with us today. She is a team leader with the Elite Icon team with eXp Realty in Indianapolis, Indiana. Uh, Welcome to the podcast, Jocelyn.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. How's the weather in Indianapolis this afternoon?
It's actually really pretty out. It's beautiful. It's in the 70s, so it's really
Mm,
nice.
nice, kind of getting that Indian summer going on. I love it.
Yes.
And very good. So, how did you get started in the real estate business?
Well, I've always had like an interest in real estate. So it goes back to clear when I was in like I think sixth grade or something like that, and my parents were looking for houses, and it was just, I saw the lady driving her fancy car, and I was like, "Ooh, how'd you get that?" And so it was just kind of something that sparked my interest as a kid. And then as an adult, like my family would tell me, "Hey, you should go into real estate. You should go into real estate." And I'm like, "Oh, I'm too young for that." This was, like fresh out of college and stuff. But then I did another career and I got a phone call that they were closing the doors of that career, of that job, that company. And so my husband looked at me and he's like, "So what's next?" And the next day I was scheduling time to meet up with somebody to talk about a career in real estate. I signed up for classes that following Monday and began my journey. So that's where I started.
Yeah, so you use the closing of one door to open another.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah, I love it. And what I hear there is, taking massive action towards your dreams.
Yes. Definitely. You'll never accomplish what do they say? Like you'll never accomplish the 0% of the shots you or something about the shots that you never take or something like that. What is that quote?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Something like I know what you're talking about. Like, you miss all the shots you don't take, kind of
Right.
a thing. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Well, and it's the I look at it too. So many people want to be perfect at it before they start. And, but the reality of it is the only reason why you have version one of something is to get to version two. You just can't skip the steps and you know, you know, there was another quote. It was kind of like, a, an imperfect plan executed is better than a perfect plan not executed. And I think there's a lot of times people
Absolutely.
are just constantly getting ready and they never actually take the step.
Yeah, well, you're never good at anything that you try for the first time. You
Right.
have to have the reps, the practice. You have to learn, you have to fail forward. So when you
Yeah.
make mistakes, you learn from those mistakes and then you're better the next time. So you can't ever expect to be perfect at it the first time.
Right. Right. Obviously, you've had great success in a limited amount of time here. What would you consider to be some of the keys to helping you be so successful in the real estate business?
Not being willing to give up. I would say I think the majority of people who don't succeed in real estate, one, they don't take it seriously as a career. So it can't be a hobby because if it's a hobby, then you're paid as a hobby, and most hobbies cost you money. And so if you want to take it seriously, you have to commit to having a schedule and sticking to it. The rich find their wealthy in the boring, and so or their wealth in the boring. So you have to do the boring things in order to get to the fun things. So sticking with it, the consistency, the repetition, and just doing the daily activities.
So you're saying that it's not always as glamorous as they would make it out to be on the television.
No, we very rarely get glamorous.
Yeah, I think people would be maybe surprised at just the amount of routine that goes into being good in whether it's lending, real estate, or like golf or basketball or whatever. There's just a lot of the fundamentals that you're doing over and over and over again. What would you say are some of the fundamentals for you in your business?
Showing up. If you don't show up for work, you're not going to have work. So answer the phone when it rings, be responsive, be polite, be nice to the person on the other end, whether it's a client or another agent. And just simply like I know they talk about like the grind of it all. Just show up and do the work. If you don't have like a um well, I can't think of the word right now. Not the database, but the like the pipeline. If you don't have the
Hmm.
pipeline, then you go and you make the pipeline. You go
Yeah.
and you talk to people. If your mouth is open, then your business is open. So if your mouth is closed, then your business is closed. My very first client that I ever had was my dental hygienist because literally my mouth was open. I was in her chair and she was talking about her family and her house and her life and everything else. And like when she was complaining about her house, I was like, "Oh, I can help you with that." And she's like, "Oh, why? Are you a realtor?" And I'm like, "Yes, I am." I didn't tell her I just got my license literally the day before, but yes, I am. And she's like, "Okay." And then I followed up. So you have to follow up too. Like if I wouldn't have followed up with her, then I never would have had that first transaction, which turned into two because she also had a house to sell too.
Yeah.
So you just got to have your mouth open. You got to be prepared, be ready, and don't be the secret agent. You have to let people know that you're a realtor and you're in business.
Right. Right. And I think that a lot of people misunderstand just having natural conversations with people about what you're doing with being like salesy. Like, oh, I don't want to be salesy or pushy. It's like you weren't being pushy. I mean, you couldn't be pushy. You were in the dental chair, you know,
Right.
and it's like, but you were just, oh, it sounds like you have a need. I can help you with that need. And, the beauty of it is, you know, people like talking about real estate.
They do. They really do. It's like the new addiction for this time and age.
Yes, yes. And it makes sense because, I don't know very many other things that can, you know, transform people's family tree financially, like home ownership.
Right.
So, and tell people that if you put 5% down on a house that is appreciating very 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 conservatively 4% a year, you're getting an 80% return on your investment every single year, and it's like, and you get to live there. So it's like, I think sometimes people get focused on the wrong thing, whether it's, the price of, not that the price of houses and the interest rates and that payments, all those things are important, but not as important as the ability to create wealth by leveraging the majority of the purchase on an asset that is going to provide a hedge against inflation. And at the end of the day, most people, need to spend money to live somewhere anyway.
Yeah. And you actually spend more money renting than you do on a mortgage. So people don't realize that it's a lot more expensive to rent than it is to own. And then also, once you do have some equity built up into a home, then you can borrow against that and then go out and buy an investment property,
Yeah,
and then you're building your wealth exponentially.
absolutely, absolutely. And there's like 5 different ways that you can make money off of an investment property, not just, that someone else is paying down your mortgage, not only that you're getting the appreciation, but the income tax advantages with depreciation and all those kinds of things can really, you can utilize some of that even to offset maybe some other gains that you are, that you're realizing if maybe you're doing an IRA conversion into a Roth or something like that, you can offset, gains with losses and things like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Uh, yeah. So you said you got started in the business and you started your own team. What was the impetus for you to create a team of agents around you?
I wasn't ready for one. I did not want one. But somebody basically was like, "Hey, I want to join your team." And I'm like, "I don't have a team." They said, "I want to join your team." I said, "I don't have a team." They said, "I want to join your team." I'm like, oh, okay, well, I guess I'm starting a team. So here we are 4 years later. And yeah. We have a team. I'm the type of person to where if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it right and I'm going to do it well. And
Hmm.
so it's definitely a learning experience. And so you learn from the things that you mess up on and you correct it and you move forward, and it's constantly evolving, constantly changing, constantly trying to implement new things in order to motivate and inspire people and train them and everything else. So it's an ever-changing, evolving thing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, how many people do you have on your team now?
Well, that's funny thing, it is constantly ever changing. So we did have 19 and now we have 7, and that was intentional, because we wanted to basically, we wanted to create a solid foundation based on the culture that we wanted to have moving forward. We had kind of gotten to a place to where the culture wasn't what it should have been, and so we made a few tweaks to our requirements, if you will, and that kind of caused people to phase themselves out. So now we have what we call our more solid foundation, and then we can build upon this now, or
Yeah,
rebuild.
I know. I love it. Well, and I would, go back to the building, because it's like if you so like the whole Jim Collins, good to great, like you got a bus and you've got, you need to have the right people on the bus, but they need to be in the right seat. And it sounds like part of what you're doing is being like, well, here's what it's going to take to be on the bus. And like, you might have thought you were on the bus, but if you're not doing, if you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing, you're not really on the
Basic
bus.
requirements.
Yeah, yeah. And because accountability is important, and it's and one of the mysteries, to get off, maybe off script a little bit, the mysteries I have is that I don't think that it's really cheap to be a realtor. And so I'm like, I'm not really sure why someone would go to the education and the expense and the continuing education and the continuing expense to do something that they aren't 100% committed to and they're not any good at.
Yeah. And they don't show up at all. They say they want it, and so then you supply them with leads and support and systems and tools and resources and training and everything else, and then they still don't show up. They still don't
Mhm.
answer their phone. So it's like, okay, well, you say you want it, and I'm giving you all of these things, but yet you're still not showing up. So they're just, like I said, so it's more like a hobby at that point, and the hobbies cost you money. So they're
Yep.
just wasting money. They're throwing money down the drain. So
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. And if you're, you know, yeah, I think showing up, answering your phone, and whatever business that you are, is number one. It's like if if you've done all the work to make the phone ring, and it rings and you don't pick it up, that doesn't make any sense.
right.
So what are some things that you and your team are doing to elevate your client experience?
Um, um, we ask a lot of questions to find out what they truly want.
Yeah.
And we pay attention, we listen, as we're going through the home, whether it's like a home buyer's experience or a seller's experience. We're going through and we're asking questions to find out about motivation and what's really important to them, because oftentimes there's the saying, buyers are liars. They'll tell you one thing, but then what they truly want is something completely different. And then a similar thing with sellers, so like they'll tell you that they want to sell for the most amount of money, but yet they're not willing to do any of the work to get their home prepared for it to be in the condition to get the most amount of money. So then you have to
Right.
kind of like
Right.
filter in between all of those things and see what the truth is in all of that, and then help them accomplish what they truly want and need. So I would just say service, I guess.
Yeah, no, I'm 100%. 'Cause you'd mentioned that on our first meeting, that how, you really spend time with a client to understand their why. I mean, it's more important. Anybody can ask, well, how many bedrooms, how many bathrooms, what size lot, what type of house, where do you want to live? The professional is really digging in, you know, why have you decided that now is the time to buy real estate?
Right.
What is, what in your life has motivated you to this point? What are your 3 5 year goals? How, we're asking people, how long do you plan on needing the money? Because people rarely stay in a house 30 years, but even if they stay in a house like 7 or 10 years, they might not stay in the mortgage for 7 to 10 years,
Right.
because things change and adapt. And so, looking for, how can we help you, make this step, but also knowing, maybe what your long range goals are and how, this particular house purchase fits into your long range goals. So
Absolutely.
I love it. So, obviously I work with a lot of great agents, and understand that real estate is a 24/7 experience. But when you are not helping people buy or sell real estate, what are some things that you like to do in your quote spare time?
Spare time only happens because you create it.
Yep.
And so if it's not in the calendar, it doesn't exist. And so you have to schedule in the important things first, which are family,
Hmm.
life, anything that's important that comes prior to that has to be in the calendar. And so for me, that would be like I sing in the praise band with church. And so that's something that's in my calendar. If it's in my calendar, then I'm not going to schedule appointments the night of rehearsal or obviously not on Sunday mornings too. But then like that's a priority for me. So that's in there.
Hmm.
And then just, spending time with my family, of course, the cliche thing, but I have a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old, and if I blink, I'm going to miss it.
Yeah.
So I can't get this time back. I got to spend it with them.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, someone who has adult children, I saw something that, and I'm probably going to kill the statistics, but the um, something like 80 to 90% of the time that you spend with your children is before they hit 18. And I mean, and it's true. I mean, we love our children and we talk with them, pretty much on a weekly basis, and see them as often as we can. But it's, like exactly, it's like, you can't be with them 24/7, but at the same time, those moments go by pretty fast.
I do.
So what's it like being a mom of young kids and running a high-powered real estate team?
Well, okay, so my husband works with me too. So he joined, I brought him out of corporate America last year. So he came on as our director of operations. And now he's decided he wants to be a realtor too. So he's like, oh, I'm starting to become you and everything else. But like the thing is we both, because our kids are the age that they are, we both are like, oh wow, like work is so much less stressful than being home with the girls. And so we enjoy our work day because it's not as stressful to us as being with them because it's constant fighting, constant bickering, a wall of sound constantly. And so just managing the two, we have our work schedule, we have our home schedule, and we try to not have those overlap. But of course, there's instances where, we do have to take a phone call or write an offer or put together a contract or something like that. So like tonight I've got showings and a listing appointment. So my husband's picking up the kids from school and I'm going and doing those things. So we just have to adjust and figure it out.
Yeah, yeah, I love it. But I mean that communication and the teamwork. And now, what was your husband doing in corporate America before he joined your team?
Marketing.
Okay, okay. So very
Mhm.
very similar with you're just marketing something different now.
Absolutely. And that's why he's like, I can be a listing agent. All it is marketing. And I'm like, yep, I've been trying to tell you that for years.
But we're men. We have to come up with the idea on our own, and it's like,
Yeah.
I know you said it 5 times, but when I say it, then it sounds really good.
500. Yes. Yeah.
Cool.
So
Well, if you had it all to do over again, anything that you would change?
I mean, honestly, I probably wouldn't have started my team when I did because I birthed the team at the same time that I birthed the child. And I'm not going to get that time back.
Mm,
And so I would have waited to start my team. I knew I wanted a team eventually in the future, but I think I
hmm.
would have waited. So I would have spent more time with my family, my children, and focused on my own personal career rather than starting a team. So that's brutal honesty.
Yeah, no, I love it. Yeah, it's one of those things that we can, hindsight can be 2020, but if we look at it and say, okay, moving forward, we're going to, do things a little bit differently can certainly help for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So now I have the dedicated working hours, the dedicated family time to try to create the separation. But
Yeah, yeah. We talked a little bit about coaching last time. How has coaching impacted your life?
I mean, I wouldn't have known how to run and manage a team without it. So the coaching company that I went with, well, they specialized in teams and building team leaders and then scaling through the progression of the the business growth. And so, I started off as a tier 2 with them, then moved up to a tier 3. And then, so it's just, um, it, without it, I wouldn't have had the support to be able to ask the questions. And, because you can't ask like the people on your team, like, hey, what do I do in this instance? Or how do I handle this? Or how do I find leads? Or how do I do, XYZ? So you've got to ask somebody who's a step above you, who's been there, who's done it. So it's just that guidance and the support, people you can ask questions to, and they can tell you what they've been through.
Yeah, yeah, I love it. Um, well, I really appreciated the opportunity to sit down with you here today and pick your mind a little bit and learn more about you. I'm sure there's a lot of people that would be interested in talking with you about, real estate, whether it's buying, selling, or investing. What's the best way for people to get a hold of you?
My direct cell phone is 317-777-1367. My email is Jocelyn, Jocelyn, at eliteiconteam.com. So those are probably the best ways. You can also find me on social media, Realtor Jocelyn Deal on Facebook, Instagram. I think I'm just Jocelyn Deal. Um, but yeah, reach out
All
to
right.
me. And same thing if you're looking to join either a team or a brokerage or anything like that, we're always looking for good people to join us.
I love it. I love it. Well, Jocelyn, thank you so much. I want to thank everyone for joining us here today with the Financial Advantage. Again, we're powered by the Wells Funding Group. My name is Dennis Wells. The team and I can be reached at 219-230-8400. Please like and subscribe on whatever platform that you are enjoying this on. And of course, share this with 2 or 3 of your friends that are interested in learning more about real estate. Jocelyn, thank you again so much for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
All right.